All right, here we are at yet another episode of Flipping Houses for Rookies. Good morning, Peter.
Hello, Bill, and hello, everybody.
Yeah, we're at podcast number 447 this morning, 447. And I just realized there's a bunch of stuff behind me. I've been working my tail off recently. So my office, I think I should have cleaned up my office a little bit, but oh well, you guys can handle it.
You got it blocked pretty good. Move like 2 inches to the left, you'll be fine.
Yeah, like this. Yeah. All right, today's title is Creative Real Estate Leads.
Leads.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Here is the description of today's episode. Get ready, rookies. I'm about to commit the ultimate sin and expose the real reason 97% of real estate rookies are getting their teeth kicked in, while a small group of underground operators are quietly banking 5-figure paychecks on demand. Here's the truth. Most think we are in a lead quality crisis, and some even believe there's a shortage of single-family houses. So if you've been beating your head against the wall, hunting for motivated sellers, then this might be a podcast you should listen to and take notes. And holy hell, you just might see it as an eye-opener.
Mm-hmm.
This is not some recycled garbage. You must... I'll give that to you again. This is not some recycled garbage you have seen on YouTube or other social media. In fact, this podcast makes all of that data seem like kindergarten level when it comes to creative real estate deal hunting. In fact, the last time Bill, me, exposed these ideas inside of a coaching group, within 72 hours, 3 students had deals. So it's not fluff or some gimmick. Listen to this episode now and get the jump on everyone else, or keep struggling with outdated methods while you watch others get rich from it. Interesting, eh? Interesting. Very, very interesting.
You know, it's funny. It's funny when you talk, people hear what they want to hear, right? So when all of that stuff you just said, I heard 72 hours, 3 students, money. Yeah. That's what I heard.
Yeah.
Not bad though, huh?
Mm-hmm.
If you're gonna take something away, that's good.
All right, so we need to do some housekeeping type of stuff here. Basically, we are recording this podcast on Thursday morning, 9:30 a.m. Eastern time. And we actually live stream it to YouTube, 2 places on YouTube, Flipping Houses for Rookies and Creative REI Reply, as well as Facebook and LinkedIn. So if you go to any one of those platforms, you want to join us on a Thursday morning, you could do that. You could actually type in wherever they allow you to type in any questions you might have about the podcast. If it's about the podcast, I'll answer it because we're time restricted. That's better. If it's not about the podcast, I'll ask you to go to flippinghousesforrookies.com or Creative Real Estate, Creative REI Reply.com, and put a support ticket in. Also, I've been giving things away. If you leave a 5-star review and take a picture of it and send that picture to flippinghousesforrookies@gmail.com, I will give you hundreds of dollars worth of courses and stuff for doing that. I've been giving away scripts and creative real estate calculators. I have a course that's called How to Make Your First $5,000 that I was selling for a couple $100 that I'm giving away now. So it's worth it if you want to do that. It's my ethical bribe for you to leave a review. If you're not going to leave a 5-star review and you just want to subscribe to us so you know that we're on the air when we are. Obviously, we've done 447 podcasts, or will after today. And every one of them is about 60 minutes long. So there's lots of training here, lots of free training. You don't have to pay any money for it. You can just rob Peter and I of our ideas and go do deals. But make sure you subscribe and like us. All right, Pete, you ready?
Ready to go, Bill. Hang on, everybody. Here it comes.
Let's jump in on it. On this very, 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 very confusing topic. How to get leads. Excuse me. So, I'm sorry for that. I'm struggling. My body is wickedly struggling. As I told you before we got on here, I live in Connecticut, as do you. And it's been 15 and 20 degrees now for, I don't know, several weeks. And I haven't been out of the house in about 5 or 6 days. And the reason why is because it's cold, number one. But more importantly, I have hot air heat. So it's like my throat and my sinuses are all just dried out because I got to. Someday I'm gonna actually take the furnace out and put hot water in, or get a humidifier or something like that.
Sure.
Get all jammed up. Anyways, no need for you to hear that. So what 97% or more of every single creative real estate entrepreneur or anyone in creative real estate actually is or doesn't know is that not all real estate is created equal.
Sure.
Not all real estate is created equal, and I'll explain that. To start off with, this concept of all real estate is not created equal. Let's talk about a few words. So the first word, and this is very important. I'm not going to go into a whole long thing of theory today, but there are just a couple basics that I want to cover. Sure. Because if you don't understand these couple things I'm going to cover right now, you will never have enough leads. And oh yeah, by the way, here's the secret. I'm going to drop it early in the show. The formula is quantity, quality, viability. You don't need a quantity of leads if you do what I show you today. What you need is quality of leads. So you might have one guy that has 10,000 leads and you might have 100 and you'll do more deals than him if you do what I show you today. Okay, so it's not the amount of leads, it's the right leads that you need.
That makes sense.
Okay.
Sure.
So to start that off, the first thing we're going to talk about is affinity. The word affinity. Affinity means a natural attraction or liking. So I'm going to shut up for a second so I can grab a sip of my tea. What does that mean to you, Peter? Why don't you give them in your words so it's not just me talking?
Sure. Well, the word is used in a lot of with people, meaning you feel close to somebody. If you like somebody, you want to be close. It can be chemicals that molecules attract to each other, but it's attraction and closeness. You don't like something, you want to be far away as you can. But it's a good feeling, a closeness.
So the word is derived, meaning derived from, meaning where it came from, where it originated. It's derived from proximity of relationship. So the word came from it's a Latin word, proximity of relationship. In other words,
closeness, right?
Yeah. In other words, it's how much you like or dislike something or someone, like you just said. Except I'm kind of not correcting you, but I'm adding to your statement. Because listen to what I just said.
Say it again.
It's how much you like or dislike something or someone.
Sure.
It doesn't have to be a person.
Have to know.
Right? I don't like going to my sister's house because. I love going to my mother's house because. Doesn't have to be a person.
Right. It could be, it's not like your sister or your mother. Your mother could be a nice, warm home. Your sister's could be in a terrible area, too far away, hard to get to. It stinks and it's cold and you don't like the area, not the person.
And just to prove this point, I get my nuts cracked quite a bit, especially from my sisters, especially from the sister that's right below me, because I have 2 cars. Actually, I have 3 cars. One of them is my wife's. But I have 2 cars. I have a 2015 Nissan Versa Note with 140,000 miles on it. And I have a 2004 Ford Ranger 4-wheel drive with about 80,000 miles on it. Can I buy a new car? I could probably write a check for a new car today if I wanted to. right? I could buy a new car.
Mm-hmm.
I was in the car business for 27 years. I have friends I can walk in any car lot that I want and get a wicked deal.
Yeah, but if you're in the business, you don't have to impress anybody. You probably don't even care anymore, right?
Problem is I like my car. I have affinity for my car. And the pickup truck is my ex-father-in-law's, who him and I did. He was my private lender for many years.
Yep.
After we got divorced, and we had a tremendous relationship, and he's now dead.
Yeah.
So it's just I have affinity for it.
Mm-hmm.
It has nothing to do with the truck, and it's annoying to drive. And now it's in the driveway and it's got a flat tire, so I got to go put 4 tires on it, and I don't even drive it. Right? But it's affinity, so it could be an object. It doesn't have to be a person.
Sure.
Right?
Sure.
The next thing I want to clear up is the word agreement.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So agreement means harmony or accord. And accord means conformity, right? Derived from heart. It's like from your heart. It's in your heart.
Oh, yeah.
Right. So accord means conformity. It means you're conforming with something.
Mm-hmm.
You're agreeing with something.
Yeah, like you're together with somebody or something.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So it means harmony. You're in line with it. You're on the right wavelength of it. It's smooth.
Would it also be like having the same idea as somebody else?
Yeah.
Like you feel the same. Oh, I feel the same about that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's a great feeling. You talk to somebody. Oh, me too. I like to fish, or I think you're right about that. I think the same way.
Let's dive off the deep end.
Ooh.
Yeah. The world, America in the last several years, there's a great example of this.
Yeah.
You're either Democratic or you're Republican. And it's gotten to a point where if you're Democratic and you meet somebody that brings up Trump's name, you shut up and you leave.
Mm-hmm.
If you're Republican and they bring up some Democrat like Biden or Kamala Harris, then you shut up and you leave. There is lack of harmony. There's no harmony.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep. Unfortunately.
See, here's the basic law of deal hunting. Okay. Agreement also means agreeing on words in a phrase or a sentence. So agreement could be like so we have agreement, which is what we've been talking about.
Yeah.
Or there's let's write the agreement. Right? Let's write the agreement. So think of this, right? So if we are expecting to get a contract or agreements from sellers or 2 or more parties to understand each other, we have to have affinity. We have to communicate about what our agreements are along the same wavelength.
Yeah. So
why am I writing this podcast today? Because you and I are struggling with, and it's I thought it was just you, but obviously it's you and I together because it's my business, right? We're sending out offers on an offer blaster with Creative REA Replay. And I'm trying to get the VA to do some pre-qualifying. Right? So the virtual assistant VA is virtual assistant. The VA is, I'm trying to get her to just call the people that we texted an offer to, which is 50 or 75 offers a day. And just get on the phone with these people and say, hey, are you interested? All she's doing is checking their agreement and their affinity.
Yeah.
If it's good, in other words, they think, yeah, that's kind of good, or yeah, I can maybe do that, but there's one thing I wouldn't do. Then she's to pass the deal over to you. So in other words, she's the opening caller and you're the closing caller. She's just pre-qualifying leads for you. So when you get on the phone, you got a better chance of knowing that they're in agreement with, or in accord with, or in harmony with.
Right.
Okay. So this is important, and I know that sounds profound. I'm out of the profound pool. I'm going to start speeding things up here so you can really get this. But this is huge, huge, huge in marketing. What's the purpose of marketing? Do you know?
Well, I would say to attract interested people.
Okay.
How do you like them apples?
It's not correct.
I wasn't counting on it.
That's PR. Public relations is getting good works well known. So public relations is out there like, hey, everybody, take a look at this thing and gather an identity. Right? Marketing is testing. So that's affinity. PR is affinity.
Yeah.
Marketing is the agreements where you start building some sort of, oh, I like, so I didn't write this on my podcast, so I don't want to get into this, but so it's PR, marketing, and then the close, left to right. So PR, public relations is like, oh, I like what that guy's saying. I want to listen to him more.
Yeah.
Right. This is what YouTube is based on. All the ads on YouTube, the first 8 seconds, they're trying to build immediate affinity with you. So you're like, I like this guy. Maybe I should push the button. Right. Then you go to the ad, and the ad's like, huh, that kind of makes sense. And you're building some sort of relationship or some agreements with the person listening to you. So this way here, by the time you do something like get onto a sales page or get into a chiropractor's office or however this is being used, right? Or in a car dealership, when you get there, you've already been warmed up to and know what the concepts are. And the doctor in the doctor's office doesn't have to spend 45 minutes teaching you all of this. You already know it.
Right.
You land on a sales page online, you already know all of this and you're ready to go. Right. So in our system of real estate, we don't have that warm-up period. We don't say, hey, go check this out. Hey, go check that out. Hey, go check this out. We don't have that warm-up period.
That's right.
We're jumping in with cold feet. And we have to do that warm-up period. And most don't do that because they don't know how. And I'm going to talk about that today because you have to have that warm-up period. Because human beings are sensual. They have feelings and they have emotions, which trump everything else. Because what you want exceeds what you need. Right?
Yeah.
I want to have ice cream right now, but I'm diabetic, so I shouldn't do it. But I'll eat it anyways.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
So hopefully that makes sense. So you need to shortcut that. That's what our problem is in real estate with getting leads is we don't have enough warm-up time.
Well, we're in creative real estate.
Right.
If we're realtors, people know what to expect. They're going to list my house. They're going to put it on the market. They can get a price. They're going to take a bunch of money. They'll leave me some, and I'm going to move on. It's cut and dry. They know in advance what it is, but they don't quite know that as well with us, do they?
I don't agree with that, Peter. You are correct in some way. They know what they want, but they don't know what to expect, so they're inquiring about it. And you are right, because the realtor will build a relationship with them, right? So the first one is affinity, right? So they'll see a sign for a house. I like that house, right? And that's where it's at right there.
Yeah,
that's the end all be all, because they'll put up with the realtor, they'll put up with all the other kind of stuff if they really like that house.
I'm just saying it's not a surprise how the realtor works. Like, how do you work?
That's
like,
right.
What do you guys? When they call us, like, what do you guys do? We have to explain how we do it. If they don't, what do you do?
That's right.
Yeah. So
let me give you a couple of examples, right? You want to buy a new car.
I do.
Right? And you have $2,000 to $2,500 for down payment. Right? And you could tolerate a monthly payment. You've already decided in your head between $250 and $300 a month. I'm sorry, $250 and $350.
Okay.
So you know it's not going to be lower than 250, but you're like pretty comfortable with at least $350 a month.
Yep.
Okay. So if someone from the Porsche dealership or the Lamborghini dealership or the Mercedes dealership called you up and contacted you, are you going to think this is a correct fit?
You don't think you're in the right pool at all.
Right. You see what happens?
Yep.
Is there harmony, conformity? Is there affinity? Yeah, of course, I would love a Mercedes for $250 a month, but is that going to happen?
No, it's not real. And it's not real to pay the $550 that they would want. So that you already know in advance what to expect from those people, because it's established. You know what to expect from that.
Right. So we can say that if we all agree on something, it becomes real then, right?
Yeah.
So if we all agree that a Mercedes is not going to have a $250 a month payment, then we have some reality there, right? Is it real? No, it doesn't have to be. You might be able to buy a Mercedes for $250. You might not, but most won't believe that.
Well, it'll be a 15-year-old car with 300,000 miles on it.
Right. Yeah. So it's probably not a fit, right?
No.
Okay. How about a Hyundai dealership? Now I'm not knocking Hyundai because they've become a pretty good car. But you might listen. So same scenario, you got $2,000, $2,500, $250 to $350. If they called you up, you might listen to them, but you think there might be a better type of car.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm going to spend $350 a month, maybe I should look around.
Yep.
Not that Hyundai's a bad car. I'm not saying that. They had a bad rep for a long time. That's why I picked them. I couldn't think of anything else, right?
Well, they're having a little engine trouble lately. Don't let the oil get low. Tip from my mechanic.
Okay.
And it's a little bit of engine transmission problem, really, literally lately. So yeah, right now it's like maybe not.
All right. So the third phone call that you get is from a Toyota dealership, right? And you feel comfortable now because you're like, the numbers seem to work, right? Maybe a little bit more, and maybe instead of a $350 payment, you'll pay $380 or $400.
Yeah.
Maybe instead of $2,500, you'll pay $2,800. But you're paying because you completely see the value.
Right.
But it started off on the right foot. Do you understand? It started off in the right wheelhouse. There was the right affinity and the right agreements and the right reality, the correct amount of
maybe trust. Like there's some trust in the company. Like you get the magazine, you look at the results, and like it has good record. You have some trust. If you spend the money, you think at least it'll work out. You won't like have a broken car in a year or two. You have some reliability with your money.
Yeah. So the point is not all real estate is equal. Right. What I mean is real estate is made to take money out of it. So when we're talking to a seller, it's important to know what they want. So I know this is you. I'm going to pick on you for a second. I know for sure this is you. I personally think this is one of the reasons why you struggle, but I'm not sure. You're not in real estate for real estate. You're in real estate for money. Because you have some other problem you're trying to solve, and real estate is the vehicle. And that's okay, except there's always going to be less deals for you than me. Now, our buddy Jay, who I smoke cigars with and have dinner with all the time, and he's one of our buddies, right? He tells me very often, if he doesn't tell me at least once, sometimes twice a month, this exact thing, then, and I talk to him quite a bit. I mean, sometimes we talk, I'll talk to him. Sometimes he'll call. Last night he called me, or Tuesday night he called me at 9:15 at night, right? Talk for an hour, you know what I mean? About just stuff, right? Yeah. He says to me, "You're a lucky son of a bitch." I'm like, really? Yeah, he says, I've never seen somebody that's as passionate as you are about what you do. You love real estate. You love what you do. He said, damn. And he's 70 years old.
Mhm.
When I grow up, I want to figure that out.
Yeah.
Right. He's trying to get in the newsletter business, and we've been talking about him writing some newsletters, and he can't get a newsletter business because he doesn't know what to talk about. Right. So
Yeah.
I go into a deal, and I'm sidetracking. I go into a deal, and I'm curious about the seller situation and what's going on. And because I'm looking for something different. I'm looking for the story.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, think of it this way, Peter. Everything that we buy and everything that we get involved with, every aspect of our life, every single last thing comes
Mm-hmm.
from a story. Comes from a story. And there's a transformation period in the story, like you're going from here to there. Right? I have 3 multifamily houses I'm selling right now because my wife had cancer in 2017 and I decided to start keeping houses. It's got a story. Right?
Yeah.
You're a guitar teacher because there's a story.
Yeah.
Right? The seller is selling their house because there's a story.
Exactly.
So you have to hear the story. You have to, if you're not involved in a story, you don't know what's going on. Humans go generation to generation with stories. My wife's been watching on TV on National Geographic the Maya or the Mia, I don't know how you say it, the Maya population in South America.
Yeah. The Mayans.
The Mayans.
Yeah.
Underneath the jungle.
Mm.
And they have new technology now. And they're finding all this extra stuff under the trees. Right? These civilizations are 3,000 years old. And the people that are on TV are seeking the story.
Sure.
They're trying to read the hieroglyphics or they
call those
hieroglyphics.
Yeah, we learned that from the Egyptians, but I guess that's what they call that too, because it's like figures. Right. Like they didn't have letters and words yet, but they had pictures of horses and whatever, trees and monkeys.
So all my point is to keep moving on because I'm dragging my feet here. Is I get on the phone and I want to hear the story. You get on the phone, you want to get the numbers and get down to business and find out if they're a prospect or a suspect. Now, I'm not saying what you're doing is wrong. I'm not saying what I'm doing is right. There's a difference. So knowing the story is huge. Now, remember that because I'm going to keep moving and we're going to come back to this, right?
Sure.
So real estate is made to take money out of it, right? When you're talking to a seller.
Sure.
Right? But what if I told you about 80% of the questions is already answered for you before you talk to the seller?
Yeah.
Right? Watch this. A for sale by owner is not the same as someone who wants a realtor, right?
Right. Absolutely.
A for sale by owner does not want to pay a realtor or closing costs. If they even know there's more than a 5% closing cost. So a for sale by owner is someone, right, that wants all the money. They're greedy.
Yeah.
They don't even want to pay 5% to a realtor. Right? So we know this, right? You're saying, yeah, yeah.
Well, I just talked to a guy 2 days ago that built a house. He built the damn thing. He's a builder. And he's in for so much money, he doesn't think he can afford the realtor. He'll break even or he'll break even.
So this is what my point is. Yeah. There's the story.
It's not even necessarily greed. He just can't. Right. He overran whatever the hell he did. I don't know.
Here's another one. A landlord with a tenant or a family member, because I hear a lot of that.
Oh.
not paying them monthly will not necessarily worry about fees. Are they going to worry about the fees? They just want their monthly bleeding to stop.
Ah.
You get where I'm going with this? The story.
Sure.
Right? A divorce often is more concerned with breaking it off with the spouse. I don't want to talk to them again. I'm just done.
Uh-huh.
Or too often than I hate to even admit, they want to screw the spouse and get even more than the spouse on some part of the deal.
If I didn't know better, I think you have listened to my recordings, because yesterday, the lady in Pennsylvania can't sell the house right yet because the boyfriend's on the deed and there's a court order. She's not talking to the guy except by email. And she's waiting for his answer on email, and she thinks he will, but it's a mess. It's a mess. That's the story.
I was, a few months ago, I was on a coaching call for somebody else that I do some coaching for. And we had a guy that was on there, and he had a deal out in Arizona. And he had the deal. The husband was like, yeah, take it off my hands. And the wife, who was not divorced yet, didn't want to let the house go, but the husband was paying for it, not the wife, and she needed to sign the deed. And we went on, I'll bet you we went on 3 months talking about this. He ended up not getting it.
Wow.
Because the wife was just like, no, I don't want to do that.
Of course, she's not the one paying, huh?
Well, she wanted him. In the end, I finally gave him a question, which I don't remember what it is at the top of my head. But I gave him the right question, like, are you trying to screw your husband? And she was like, yeah, definitely. He screwed me. And that's all she was trying to do. She was just trying to make him bleed.
Yeah.
Revenge, right? How about a pre-foreclosure person? Right?
Yeah.
A pre-foreclosure person actually believes they should get money out of the house.
Yep, they always do. They're funny.
Right?
Sorry.
They think they should get cash. Right?
Yep.
Because they're desperate for money. They have no other place to get money, and this is the only place they have. It's the only thing they have with the slightest little chance of getting a chunk of dough. They don't want money. They want a chunk of dough. 5,000, 3,000, 40,000, 100,000, because they think that's going to solve their problem. What they don't realize is that their money habits are what got them into trouble. Because I can tell you right now, nothing is ever one problem. You're not getting leads. It's not one thing. It's a multiple of things.
Oh, interesting.
If you're not getting money, it's not because one thing needs to change. It's because multiple things need to change. It's usually the little, very little things, right? Which I think I'm going to do on my next podcast, podcast number 448. I woke up this morning thinking about this, but it's tiny things. It's the little things that you do every day. Like, instead of, you say you want to exercise, instead of going to the gym for 90 minutes a day, why don't you just wake up in the morning and do 5 minutes?
Instead of not doing the 90 minutes at all, right? Because you don't even do the 90 minutes then.
You want to make $1 million, why don't you save 50 this week?
Yeah.
Right? So that's a whole nother thing, and it's going to be, I'm excited about it, but we'll see what happens. So it is fair to say that the type of list that we're contacting is a huge hint on how we're going to start the conversation, how we're going to proceed with all of our communication. Because we've already built in the affinity and the agreements. It's already built in. We don't have to do that.
Can you give me an example?
I just gave you 4 of them. I just gave you on like the landlord having somebody in there, and the divorce person, and the pre-foreclosure person. We already know their story because of the list.
Oh, okay. So
we already know that. So I had a chiropractor friend of mine, and I talked about this before because I think it's just so clever. He got clients. He'd walk up to somebody and he'd shake their hand and say, "Hey, Joe, how you feeling?" Oh, my back. You should come in and see me. It was a pre-qualifying question on whether he should continue with that person or not. I don't know if this was you the other day or somebody else. I've obviously been in sales for most of my life, right? And I'm always a 40-50% closer. Not at first, but after a while, I'm always, and sometimes I've done as many as 80-90% closing ratios, right? The reason why a guy like me does that, not just me, but people that are in my neighborhood, is because you're pre-qualifying. Right? And what I mean by pre-qualifying is you're looking at these things, these indicators, like, is there already built an agreement? Is there already an accord? Is there harmony there already that you could talk to? Right? So I'm going to talk about this in a few minutes, but like if you call up a for sale by owner that wants all the money and all the cash, should you talk terms with him? You see what I mean? Because he wants all the cash. So right away, you're breaking the affinity. Right? So, but we're going to talk about that in a minute. All right. So let's make this an eye-opener and completely real now, right?
Sure.
If you skip back to podcast number 446, New Certified Creative Real Estate Entrepreneur Education, we talked about the stages or levels of deal making according to our ability and experience, which we want to call wisdom. Wisdom is knowledge with experience, right?
Yep.
So you have to build your experience. Most creative real estate investors don't have that. I've just written a book. I'm struggling with the title right now. Otherwise, it would be released. You and I are going to decide that today because you're going to help me. And pretty soon you'll be able to buy this book, right? It's got in the book the 6 stages. So let's just stick with that idea.
Sure.
So stage 1, right? We're going to look to do a slot deal, which is a sandwich lease option transfer. And here's the reason why. We're going to contact, so a slot deal is a 36-month lease. And it's going to contradict what I just said, but just stick with me for a minute, right? We contact for sale by owners for these leads. So the type of leads for a slot deal is a for sale by owner. The reason why is we know they want as much money as possible out of the property.
Right.
Their greed glands are swelling. Whether they can sell for less or whether they can't. Like you said, the slot deal, the sandwich lease option transfer, was designed for no equity people.
Right.
But I have found over time that even for sale by owner people that are asking over market value and don't want to give you equity, it automatically puts it into a slot deal, even though they own it free and clear. Right? This is the reason why when we blast offers out, like I was talking about before on Creative REI Replay, now we have a new tool that we blast offers out. So the lead comes into the system and we used to text them and try to get them on the phone and try to make a deal with them. We're not doing that anymore. The lead comes into the system and automatically gets comps. We send it out to other software that we've made, and it gets its comps automatically. It puts it in our Creative REI Replay calculator and lets us know which deal it works best with. It creates a memorandum, which is an offer, a proposal, and it texts the person that memorandum so they have the offer.
Yep.
Now we do this on a slot deal. We always send out a slot deal first because on a slot deal, because the benefit, we call it our Grand Slam offer, the benefit of doing a slot deal and the seller waiting, because you got to give them a benefit or value for waiting for 36 months and not being a landlord, because the buyer is going to take responsibility for the property, right? Do the maintenance and repairs.
Yeah.
The seller is going to receive 35% more money for waiting 36 months. So we put that in the offer. So a house that's on market value is $300,000. We're going to send an offer for $394,000. but explain it in the memorandum why they're getting $394,000.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So we put our best foot forward. So this is stage one, right? We're going to send out a slot deal. We're going to get their interest. They're going to pique their interest and see if we can talk to them. Right. Now, here's a very vital point that I can't tell you. I want to say thousands of people have told me this. It's probably been more like hundreds, but thousands of people have either shown this to me or talked about this in a conversation. It's a vital part.
Mm-hmm.
Too many people think that because once you send an offer that you're locked in and you can't change it.
Oh, yeah, no.
They send an offer. What happens if they say yes?
Good. It's fine.
Right. So that's why people are afraid to make offers, because they dilly-dally around on the details, trying to make it worth their while instead of for the person that's going to pay them. They have to, you got to let people that vote for you are people that need to vote with their wallets, not with their words.
Yeah.
Right. So the point is that it's a proposal, right? And a proposal means you're giving them this idea to consider, these numbers to consider. I'm going to tell you right now that if I send out, let's say I send out 100 memorandums or offers,
mm-hmm.
right? We talk to 20 people and make 5 deals.
Mm-hmm.
I will bet you $1,000 or more that not one of them deals that we make will be the same as the offer we sent originally.
It's fair enough.
Not one of them. Every one of them will get changed.
It's fine. Why not?
So am I making sense?
Yeah. Well, you're sending an offer to somebody. You haven't talked to them yet. You know, we talk about this yesterday. The seller should make offers like what he wants. And then you talk about that. If we give them the offer, it may not be what they want. It should be close. But when you talk to them, you find out what they're really willing to do, make a few modifications, and they should be happy with it if that's what they're asking for, like what's your asking price and all that stuff. You're asking them.
That's right.
And it's because it's what they agree to. I mean, right. I don't really care. It's not my house. I'm just helping the guy. So I got to know what he needs. You know, it's like a waitress. Like, what can I get for you? Hey, how about if I give you the steak sandwich today? I don't want that. How about if I give you, why don't you ask the guy what he wants? I used to be a waiter. You just ask him. It's not that complicated. And it's not freaky that the numbers would change a little bit as long as everything works out together, you know, right. all in all. So it's fine.
So the point is that it just opens the door for a conversation.
Yeah.
Right. It's a way to get them to reach out to us
mm-hmm.
and keep communicating until we can figure out the perfect solution or solutions for the seller to continue with us.
Yeah.
Right. All right. So that was stage 1. We're sending out the slot deal. Stage 2, right, which is options. Okay. Stage 2 is technically stage 2 for a reason, because it's right after stage 1. Because if they say, no, I don't want terms, what do you do? Well, stage 2 is designed for the seller who wants all cash.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Usually because they want to disconnect from the property totally.
Yeah, they don't want to wait. Yeah.
Or they have some other problem outside of the property and they need the cash. So in other words, this is their savings account. They need the cash.
Yep.
So we use an option agreement to give them the cash.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll sign a 90-day option agreement. We'll get a 5% discount, right? And we'll go sell the property for a 5% discount. And then, so here we coax the seller by settling on as little as a 5% discount. I try to get 10%, but if you can get a little, I'll do it as little as a 5% discount, right?
Mm-hmm.
Often the reason why this works is because they've tried a realtor already and probably it didn't work. There's usually a disagreement with the realtor system or a realtor.
Mm-hmm.
Or they tried selling it on their own and they couldn't do it. There was no success.
Sure.
Right. And now you pop up and there's a third solution for them. So the list we would want to use for this for sale by owner is expired listings.
For the option deal.
Yeah, we're on stage 2.
Yeah. But you said for sale by owner. So if we want to push option deals, that's good for the expired listing because he already had a failure and he was trying to get his cash.
Right. Well, we would use for sale by owner and expired listings.
Right? Well, it could be either one, right? I mean, somebody's on a list category, you find out when you talk to them. You can assume whatever, but
so basically what we're going to do is we're going to market to for sale by owners and we're going to market to expired listings. We're going to go into the conversation talking about stage 1, which is the slot deal. And as soon as they bark at, no, I don't want that, you're going to go right into stage 2, which is I'll give you all cash.
Yep.
Right. So that's usually what we do. Right. The point is that either one of these stages, you have to realize that they've already been trying to sell the house. Days on market exceeded their expectations, and now you're in the middle of that storm in their head.
Yep.
So what are you going to talk about? Take a guess.
Oh, so tell me about the selling process. How are you doing with the sale? What happened? Oh, man.
Well, you want to ping them into it right away. Just ask them, how many days have you been trying to sell the house for? How many days has it been on the market? How long have you been trying to sell this house for? Tell me what happened.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
You see how this is? So the harmony and the agreement, everything, it's all succinct. So in other words, you do step 1, you do step 2. There's no broken link here. There's no broken idea of what's going to happen. There's no, here's a better way to put it. There's no broken expectation. You're enhancing the expectation of the seller based on the list and the way you're talking to them and the stage that you're going to use to structure the deal. Right? Now let's move on to stage 3. Stage 3 is what? You remember?
By then we're doing a lease option.
Rent to own. That's right. Okay. Now the difference between a rent to own and a slot deal is slot deal, we make money now and that's it. Rent to own, we're getting 15% worth of equity and 20 or 25% worth of cash flow, and we're making money now, money monthly, money later.
Right, because we're getting in the middle of that one.
Right, we're going to stay in that deal. Right. Yeah. So stage 3, here we do a rent to own with a seller, which means the seller will let us have 15% worth of equity and 20 and 25% worth of cash flow, like I just said. Why? Well, often they don't need or they don't need the equity, or they don't have enough equity. Right? If they used the realtor system, it would cost them 12 to 15% anyways.
Yeah.
Right? For closing costs. So our 15% is the same to them.
Right.
But guess what? Now they don't have to tell their tenants that they're selling, because we could take over the tenants. I get this a lot in a coaching group. Well, they have a lease already, so I didn't do it. What do you mean you didn't do anything? Well, the lease is not up until, they give me a date 3 months later. I'm like, so instead of making your lease option 5 years, make it 5 years and 3 months. And you honor the lease the landlord gave you, and then you get them out of there and you get a new tenant in there. Why wouldn't you do that? That's what they want, right? Now, these leads are usually landlords, right, who are already renting, so you don't have the barrier of convincing them they need to make monthly payments.
Yeah, it can be more convincing them to sell the thing because they might like the payments, or they might be getting tired of it, or they're like, yeah, I would like to sell it in a few years, but not yet. So that would be good.
It's a much easier conversation than talking to a for sale by owner who wants every little last penny out of the deal and saying, will you take monthly payments? Right? Here's what happens. when you're talking to the landlord, which by the way, you can find these so easily on Facebook Marketplace. You go into rent is the rent section.
Mm-hmm.
And I've said this for 5 years now.
Yeah.
All you need to do is type in, would you be willing to rent to me for a year or two and then sell to me? See, it's going up instead of going down. See, when you're doing it for sale by owner and you talk about renting for 3 years, you're going down. You're taking a step backwards and then having to overcome that objection or that I don't want to take payments. That's what they're thinking. They're not listening to you.
Yep.
Where the renter is like, I'm already taking payments, and geez, that would be pretty good if I only had to take payments for 3 more years, and then somebody would actually buy it, and I wouldn't have to, then I could sell it, because that's what I wanted to do anyways. It takes you up a notch instead of dropping you down a notch. See, the conversation they're having in their head, you're right in the middle of it now.
Right. They also have the benefit of not having to be the landlord anymore in case they're getting tired of it, which eventually they should be, because it's tiring sometimes.
And we're gonna introduce to them the concept of the buyer on this agreement. The buyer is going to take the responsibility of the landlording and the snow and the grass and the garbage and the smoke detectors and all the stuff the landlords had to do. And we're going to convert him from having a liability to having an asset.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to convert him into being a banker, technically. So all he has to do is collect money, which is what he wanted to do when he originally bought this property anyways. So see, the harmony and the agreement is put together. But it was because we picked the right list and we picked the right deal, and that's what we're hunting for, is that exact deal. So we're going to go look for that exact story being told in the list.
Mm-hmm.
Is this making sense?
Yep.
Right. Hopefully,
we actually talked about this a while back, but not lately. Like matching the list to like how we present it.
Yeah.
Because it could go either way, but it's more likely the way you're explaining it.
Right.
That each list would be in a certain category and be willing to do certain things. You talk to them, you find out. At least it gives you a target.
Right. But now I'm matching it up with the different levels of experience. Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. So hopefully our listeners' eyes are starting to open up and they're saying, holy hell, this is pretty cool. Right. And they're seeing what kind of leads you hunt for and make a huge difference on your success. Right. And if you have the correct leads, you don't need a lot of them.
Yeah.
Right. So if you got 10,000 leads like a wholesaler has, and you're trying to buy a house for 40 cents on a dollar, it's because 9,990 of them don't want to sell. You're just looking for the 10 that do. Where if you have a landlord list and you got 100 names, out of that 100, you'll probably have 20 or 30 of them want to talk to you, want to know how it works, and buy 2 houses. It's a lot less work, right?
Yeah.
So not all real estate are made. I couldn't decide if I want to write that sentence, because really not all leads are made equal. But it's really not all real estate leads are made equal is what it really is. Right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, now let's move on to stage 4 and 5 and 6, right? Number 4 is our subject to owner financing, fix and flip, and contract for deed deals, right?
Yep.
All of these deals are best found in the out of area list or out of owner list. Basically, our properties, these are properties that the tax bill is being mailed to a different address than the property address, right? In these stages, in stage 5 and 6, we use all of these techniques to run our business because we have the skills or resources to handle and fish any fish that gets in the net. So just at this stage, at stage 4, you're going to cast a net, and you're going to, a fishing net, and you're going to drag it into the boat, right? And you're going to drag up tires and hubcaps, and you're going to drag up bunker fish, which is bait fish, and you're going to drag up, and then maybe one shark, right? Or one tuna, I should say, one tuna. And you're going to throw away all that and just keep the tuna.
Yep.
Right? Up until now. But in stage 4, 5, and 6, you learn to figure out how to sell the tires and make money.
Oh.
You figure out how to sell the hubcaps and make money. You figure out what to do with the fish that you don't want and make money.
Mm.
And then you still got the big tuna to get a home run.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? So that's why you're using this out of area owner list, because it's the big net. It's going to bring in probate. It's going to bring in foreclosure. It's going to bring in fix and flip. It's going to bring in divorce. It's going to bring in all of these deals that are going to give you a 20% or more discount. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Because these are where the inherited houses are. This is where the investors that failed are. This is where all these people are, is in that list.
Mm.
But what you needed to do is you needed to get through stage 1 to 4 with experience before you can handle these people. Because too many rookies go off, I want to do subject 2. And they skip the test before you invest stage, which is stages 1 through 4. Right?
Mm-hmm.
And even stage 4, what we're doing is we're still testing the market. We're not giving the full amount of money. We're going to do a subject 2 deal and give $2,500 for a payment.
Right.
Or they have $7,500 worth of back payments on foreclosure, and we're going to pay that and get the house. The rest of they owe $150,000. We're going to give them $7,500 to catch up their back payments, and they walk away. We're not giving them $157,000. So we're still testing. We're testing our investing. We're not ready to fully plant ourselves in that community and pour all kinds of money into this property, into this area. Right?
That's actually very interesting. You've been saying that just recently, just with that kind of a clarity, where you're getting the deed
right
without paying $200,000-$300,000.
Right.
You have the deed, you have some liability because you own it, but you got in for a few thousand.
Mm-hmm.
The guy might need $3,000 to move, a few $1,000s to get in, or can you buy a real house for a few $1,000s and actually own it? So that's pretty clever.
Mm-hmm.
Before you start writing big checks to buy the house, write checks to do the renovation, write checks to holding costs and the electricity and the heat and the snow plowing. Yeah, sure.
And then stage 5 is where you actually start paying for the house. This is where you this is where you do your fix and flip. This is where you pay for the house, and then you put up $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 for renovation. You have the holding cost, and because now you've tested the area. You know what the buyers want, because the buyers are the one who are paying you, right? Mm-hmm. So you know what the buyers want, and you are now prepared because you've done slot deals, you've done option deals and paid cash, sold houses for cash. Mm-hmm. You've done rent to own and practiced how to get money now, money monthly, money later, right? In stage 4, you've practiced how to do some subject 2 deals, some owner finance deals where you don't put all the money down. Right, and often it's not your money if you're putting it down. It's a private lender. Oh yeah, by the way, when you do it this way, it allows your private lender to put up $10,000 and test you before you ask him for $200,000.
That's right.
And in stage 5, you're gonna start doing $200,000 deals or $300,000 deals, and the lender's going to be like, well, we already did 3 deals and you pay and you're really good. Yeah, I can give you $1 million. Go buy.
Yep.
It's a progression of the business. That's why they're called stages. It's a level. It's the next section. And you need to work your way up, right? Which is what I'm struggling with, because you so adroitly made me realize that I named this book in my back office originally. I named it, the new book is Leads, Deals, Cash. And I call it, which I didn't name the book just because I didn't think it was sexy enough, and you just kind of set me straight on that. It's the Creative Real Estate Operator's Manual, right? Because that's what it is. This book is this manual to explain to you how the deals work and where you should start, and it's actually laid out step by step so that you can start. In fact, I'm going to soon launch a coaching group. And every quarter, I'm going to take so many coaching clients. The first time I'm going to take 25. every 3 months, I'm going to take 25 the first time. And it's a 52-week program. So every week you get lessons, and you're going to answer the lessons. And by month 2, you're going to actually be out buying houses, and you're going to be doing these deals in this coaching group, because it lays every step out so sequential that you can't not do it. The only way you can not do it is if your life is so distracting you can't do your weekly lessons, and you need a couple hours a week to do your lessons and do things to get started. My intention is when somebody starts to, when they step on this yellow brick road, right? It'll suck them in. They'll start off only getting an hour and a half a week. By the time they get in month 3, month 4, they're making $10,000 or $20,000. They're giving it more time.
Well, yeah, you certainly can afford it. But this handles so much confusion, because when anybody starts this, I remember me, that you go to a few workshops, you buy some stuff, and you're trying to do everything. And you're trying to do trying to buy houses and renovate them, God knows what, and you can't, because it's just so overwhelming. So you have it in such a sequence, you can learn the business inch by inch, and you wind up moving faster this way. It's not slower, it's faster, because the slowest thing in the world is failing. So this flows.
Well, this is your internship. This is my taking you in as an intern and working for me, technically, if you follow the path. And the coaching group is going to be that way, because it's going to have accountability and all that kind of stuff. So like I said, the first quarter, I'm going to take 25, and it'll be the cheapest you'll ever buy it. Right. So I'm working on that now. And for today's podcast, I want to hear about that. And if you want to know more about that, just send a support ticket to flippinghousesforrookies@gmail.com, and I'll do something for you there. So, and final, too many often hunt for quantity of sellers. Right? So too many people think that it's, I got to get a lot of leads. Right? When you don't need that. I talked about this already. You need quantity.
You need quality.
I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm distracted with the time. So let me do that again. So too many people are looking for quantity of leads. Right? They're not looking for quality. When really what happens is the 20% of quality leads will give you 80% of your money.
Right. And that's what you do when you know what you're doing. So to me, it's call everybody if you don't know what you're doing.
Right.
Just try everything. No, but figure out what actually works and just hone down on that.
That's right.
Good.
So the biggest secret in creative real estate, what's that?
Good job.
Yeah. The biggest secret in creative real estate today is knowing how to pre-qualify by understanding the psychology that we talked about today behind why each seller is the type of seller that they are by being on that specific list, right? And matching the type of deal with the skill you have. Right?
Yep.
Or just what type of deal structuring you want to do or earn your 80% of your income with, right? I have a coaching client that I'm going to not name. And this coaching client, I thought was working all these hours. I'm thinking that they're doing full time. And come to find out, they have kids and they have a whole life and they're single. And I start asking questions to find out they make phone calls an hour and 90 minutes a day. And they have, over the courses since they've been with me, probably about 2 months coaching, they've got 8 deals that they're trying to sell. One of which just got sold. Right?
Cool.
And it's $1 million house. Right? So I'm thinking, wow. And this is another reason why I write this podcast, because this person does not work a lot. But this person is very clever at plucking the right deals out of the crowd. Right? This is how underground operators are working only a few hours per week, making or acquiring millions in real estate. While all others can't get out of the elementary school, some past kindergarten, making not $1 in real estate. I can't tell you how many people I've spoken to. I used to do one-on-one interviews, right? And I was doing the same thing with Creative REI Replay. I promised Sean I would do 3 hours of demos, and I did that for 3 months. I did 3. What did I say? 3 hours? No, I did 3 months worth of demos. 45-minute demo showing our system, and I learned so much.
Yeah.
There are a lot of people that have gone years studying real estate because of what you're saying. It's so confusing. There's not step one. There's no blueprint. And I've written the blueprint. And I'm being facetious, but I have. It's just it's just going to be someday the standard in creative real estate. And you'll see that. Also realize birds of a feather flock together. So if you have buyers looking for $1 million houses, you got to go into $1 million neighborhoods. How many times have we been on a coaching call, hey, Peter, and somebody says, oh, I got this house worth $1.2 million. First question I ask is, are there other houses like that in the neighborhood? Right? So if you deal with first-time home buyers, then go to first-time home buyer neighborhoods. Right? Which, by the way, most will pick the low end, because I believe you should have a low end and a high end. That should have $150,000 houses and $800,000 houses. Not in the same neighborhoods, not even in the same city.
Yeah.
You should have both ends of the spectrum, because nowadays with Creative REI Replay, you can do virtual deals, no problem, right? Because most people will pick the low end market because they themselves don't know what it's like to own $1 million house, and they wouldn't imagine paying a $6,000 or $7,000 a month mortgage, or having a $30,000 property tax bill that costs $3,000 a month.
Sure.
They can't imagine that. So what they do is they take these $1 million property owners and they put them on a pedestal. And the problem with putting somebody on a pedestal is the only thing they can do is look down on you. When you go through this system that I'm talking about with the stages and you get confidence, that will be eliminated, because you will soon know that you're better off to do the bigger deals, because 5% of 1.2 million is a lot more money than 5% of 200,000, and you're doing the same amount of work. Matter of fact, it's easier because the person that owns the $1 million house knows money, and the math will be easier to explain to him or her because they do this all day long. That's why they have money. You don't have to deal with the ignorance of math and the ignorance of compound interest and the ignorance of all the things that the 200, and I'm not being cruel, but the guy that has a $200,000 house that can only afford $1,300 a month, as opposed to the guy that has a $1.2 million house and he can afford $7,000 a month. Both buying and selling. It's just a different type of conversation, obviously.
Sure. I had a math guy on the phone the other day. I think he was a math interest kind of teacher. When I said something about depreciation, he goes, I teach that stuff. So it was an easy conversation. He totally got it. So yeah, that's a guy in that upper.
Well, how much was the price of the house?
It was, I forgot, it was like somewhere between 400 and 800. It was something.
I was going to say
sizable.
600,000-700,000 probably.
Yeah, something sizable. Yeah.
Okay, so hopefully this makes sense. If you're looking for creative real estate leads, not all real estate leads are equal. Not all real estate is equal. Just because it's for sale doesn't mean it's a prospect for you, right? Every single seller is motivated for something. What you're looking for is the ones that would be motivated towards your ability to help them, A, quickly, and B, handle more than just the money, because the realtor system only handles the money, right? Like, for example, and then we're going to go, how many times have you been in a house with me and it's a house that mom and dad lived in and they were partial hoarders. And the 3 siblings don't want to come every weekend all summer long and ruin their summer to clean out the house.
Nope.
So what does money do there? Right?
No, they're willing to pay for the help.
Right. So so the only solution they have is to actually, like you said, come up with the money, the actual cash, You know, we'll say $5,000 or $8,000 to clean a house out with all the dumpsters and all that, and then be there and be disturbed. Or somebody like me says to them, I'll tell you what, why don't you and your family meet here on the weekend, take what you guys want and leave the rest, and I'll get rid of it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's much better than I'll give you an extra $10,000 so you clean the house out.
Mm-hmm.
They like my idea better because now it's like, really, we can do that? Yep. Only rule is the day that you leave the house, never come back, because my guys are going to come in here and it's all going to be in a dumpster.
Yep.
Or whatever they do with it. Sometimes we sell stuff. It's going to be gone. It's non-retrievable once we say yes. Once I come in here and you give me the key, it's non-retrievable. And they all are like, oh, yeah, no problem. We'll do that.
Yeah.
And how many houses have we bought that way?
Mm-hmm.
Only one house I didn't buy that way.
Really?
Only one house, because I think I was with you. It was in Hartford or something like that. And the guy's wife, she worked in some factory, made $175,000 a year, and he took no money from her. And I remember him telling me, I think he told me he found $6,000 worth of gold in the house.
Gold?
Yeah, he would not. She had dresses. It was told the house was told it was a storage unit. He did not want me cleaning that house out. He was.
Okay.
I ended up not buying the house, but
okay.
He didn't want that because he knew there was money.
It was a treasure hunt. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
All right. Hopefully this helped, folks. Peter, we went a little longer than normal. Hopefully you understand that the quality of leads is more important than the quantity, and that you could work a lot less if you work smarter, not harder. And yeah, there you go. I put a link inside of the chat. I can say the chat all the time. Inside of the description that actually will help you with some tools. So you should go check that out. I've been putting an email in there, but I don't remember what the link was. Otherwise, I would tell you what it is. But there's a link there for you to grab some tools. Make sure you like us. Make sure you subscribe to us. Make sure you, if you leave us a 5-star review, take a snapshot of it. Send us an email to flippinghousesforrookies@gmail.com, and I will compensate you with whatever you want. If you go to Flipping Houses for Rookies and go to the course page, I guarantee you that you can pick any one of the courses on there. And if you send me a picture of a review, I will give it to you for free. And there are courses on there I've sold for thousands of dollars. So that's my bribe to you today, my ethical bribe. Hopefully you'll take me up on it. I hope you flourish and prosper. We'll talk to you on episode number 448. Over now.